where to go. When people get a vaccine, we're able to stop the spread quicker and get closer to ending the pandemic. To learn more, go to covidvaccinewa.org. A message from the state of Washington.
Hello, I'm Tony Young, and every week I will be your guide to the music of the Fab Four with my show With the Beatles. John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr, those four lads from Liverpool. First airings are Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. with repeats on Thursdays and Saturdays from 8 to 10 a.m. right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. Tune in to catch Beatlemania.
What's up, everyone? It's your girl, Queen Bree, inviting you to come join me on Clean Greens Living. Broadcasted Tuesdays, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, live right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. On Clean Greens Living, we talk farming, community, and ways to being healthy. So come join me and let's discuss ways to create a healthier you and a healthier community.
Hey, Seattle, here are some storage tips to love food, stop waste. Onions make potatoes sprout faster. Keep onions away from potatoes. Ripe bananas give off a gas that makes the fruit around them ripen faster. Store bananas away from other fruits. 40% of food in the U.S. goes uneaten. Save money, save food, save the planet. Visit Seattle Public Utilities for more tips.
Rainier Avenue Radio. It's 7 o'clock, and it's time for LidLine Rugby. Hey, everybody. Yeah, it's April Fool's. Of course, it's time for LidLine Sports. I'm Pep, and I have the master of sportsology, the O, not to be confused with O-Dog from Menace to Society. What's happening, O?
What's good, Pepe Bean? How you doing, man?
I'm good. I had a little trouble with my headset, so sorry for the quick little delay there. What's up, Bill Walker Jr.?
You're looking like a DJ right now.
Yeah, okay. So what's going on, man? We got the Final Four, men's and women. We've got some baseball, first weekend of Major League Baseball. We got a little NBA because we're going down to the wire there. So we got quite a bit to take care of and talk about. Rugby is not one of them, sad to say, for rugby fans. Sorry to disappoint.
Sorry, Mom, too. No tennis yet. So.
Poor Rhonda. Sorry. Help me, Rhonda. Help. No, anyway. So this weekend, of course, the men's Final Four was settled. And, of course, the women are playing right now to settle their half. Two of them have been settled, South Carolina and North Carolina State for the women. And Iowa put their bid in today, so they're in. Caitlin Clark was magnificent as usual. So there's 3 out of 4 in, and now we've got to wait on UConn and USC on the women's side. For the men's side, we're all set. Like I said, we've got Purdue, UConn, North Carolina State, and Alabama as the Final Four. How you like them, apples?
I mean, if anybody is surprised about North Carolina State, they shouldn't.
No.
They were the hottest team coming into the NCAA tournament, and you know how the NCAA tournament goes, Pep. It's about clicking at the right time, and that's what they're doing. And you know, it's funny. I didn't think the ACC was, I didn't think it was the greatest this year.
Mm-hmm.
So me seeing that, I didn't really think nothing of it. But I also understood, like, you going and beating North Carolina and Duke in must-win games, like, that has to mean for something. So I definitely kept my eye on them throughout the tournament. So to me, it's not as surprising that they're in. And then um, Alabama, after watching them play Grand Canyon, I told you I was sold on. That's the type of basketball that you need to be playing right now. And they are fast, fun team on offense, and they are just rugged and tough as nails defensively. So, and then Purdue and UConn, there's no surprise from those two teams. UConn is picked up left off right where they left off last year in the tournament, and then
Mm-hmm.
Purdue has been one of the most consistent teams in the NCAA tournament with Zach, or in the NCAA period with Zach Edey. So I'm gonna say it's gonna be UConn Purdue, but like I said, those other two teams who've made it to the Final Four, they're no sleeper, and I think Purdue and UConn know that they're gonna be in dogfights come next week. So
Yeah, definitely agree. I personally would like to see the Purdue UConn matchup because it would be
mhm.
a matchup of big men, which we don't see in college basketball hardly anymore. With Zach Edey and UConn's what's his name? I forget it. But
It's right
anyway,
there in
what
yeah.
he's 7'2" and
Yep.
Zach Edey's 7'4". So that would be one heck of a matchup I would like to see. And then of course both teams can hit the three. And of course Utah, being the defending champs, they've been here before, so they already know what's up. So that would be to me, that would be the most interesting matchup. But I wouldn't be mad if Alabama or North Carolina
Nope.
State decides to, crash the party for the
Yep.
championship.
Yep. Yep. I agree with you totally. And if there's two teams, like I just said, who can crash those two parties, it is North Carolina State and Alabama. So I'm really excited to watch those guys play. It's like I said, it's been dope to see North Carolina State make this run now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think somebody said it. I forget who. I think it was somebody on the women's side. Watching what's going on over in the women's basketball, man, it's crazy, and I'm glad we get to see all these great women on a big stage. And yeah, I'm more excited for the Final Four for the women's than I am for the men. Sad. I mean, not sad to say, but it's like, yeah, I don't know what else anybody can say. It's like the women's basketball it's just been so exciting to watch. And you just saw Caitlin Clark drop 40 on LSU.
Mm-hmm.
They had no answer for her, and I have a bone to pick with LSU coach McCulkey or
Mm-hmm. Kim Mulkey.
yeah, Kim Mulkey. Just allowing Caitlin Clark to just be free, go under every screen. You got to have a better defensive plan than that with honestly, possibly one of the best women basketball players, regardless of college WNBA. You can't allow her to just be able to see the hoop like that. So,
Yeah.
not a good coaching job, not a good game plan, in my opinion.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. We talked about the men, of course, and you're not alone as far as being excited for the women. A lot more people are probably excited for the women's Final Four than the men's for this year for a first time in probably a long time, if ever, which is good. This is a good trend. I don't mind it at all. I want the women to do well and it to be exciting because the men, naturally, the men's side's always been exciting. As to me, in my opinion, March Madness is the best event in sports, and so because every game it seems, or every year it seems, you see something you like that just makes you go wow, right? Every year. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's like it's not saying that we haven't seen a lot of this before, because we have, but it's just amazing that we continue to see this type of outstanding play and upsets and whatnot, and it's great to see. And the women, I love seeing the fact that South Carolina's coming in there undefeated. They had to come through a couple of times, right off. The one time Cardozo hit a shot with no time remaining to remain undefeated a couple of weeks ago. Stuff like that is a great story. And then, of course, you got Caitlin Clark, who's been if not the story in college basketball for women. And then, of course, you got the great freshman for USC and Juju Smith.
playing right now.
Juju Smith, Juju Watkins.
Yeah.
I keep saying Juju Smith. Sorry, Juju Watkins, and she's even got a commercial now with Joel Embiid. If you've seen that, so she's really risen to the cream of the crop. And then of course you can't forget UConn and Breckers.
Yep.
I can't. Yep. Beckers.
Paige Beckers. Yep.
Yes. So it's going to be a great Final Four on the women's side and as well as the men's. I'm looking forward to it. The women start on Friday.
Yep.
So that's kind of crazy how the women finish up on Monday as far as getting into the Final Four and then start off on Friday. And then the championship game is going to be this Sunday, whereas the men start on Saturday and finish off next Monday around this time. So that should be pretty exciting. And of course, by the time the men start, the women's title will have already been crowned.
Yep.
What do you think it'll be?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go UConn for the men, and only because this is her last college basketball game. I just don't see Caitlin Clark letting her team down. So I'm gonna go UConn and Iowa.
Wow. Okay.
UConn, Iowa. What do you got?
All right. I'll go. I do like UConn a lot, but you know what? I'm gonna change it up. I'm gonna go with Purdue.
Okay.
The big guy, and then of course the guys around him will probably knock down some threes, give UConn a little issue. If it's of course if it's between those two, but I guess we're assuming that it is. So yeah, I'm gonna say Purdue, and then on the women's side, until you beat the champion, I'm gonna stick with Dawn Staley in South Carolina. Dawn Staley is my favorite coach, and I'm talking about men and women. She's my favorite, and I've been following her since she was in college at the University of Virginia. I actually remember when she was in high school in Philly, when I was living in the Northeast. I knew about her. So yeah, so I've been watching and following Dawn Staley a long time, and so she's my favorite. So I'm going to go with her and stick with South Carolina.
You know what? And that's my fault because I forgot that they were still in it. So I'm gonna actually trade my pick now, and I'm gonna go South Carolina. Just like
okay.
Until somebody dethrones them, I don't see Dawn Staley and the Gamecocks not winning another national championship. Sorry,
Caitlin. Yeah, well, that's the way it goes sometimes. Yeah, so that's exciting. So I'm definitely excited.
What's your
has the game started yet between SC and UConn?
Yeah, score is 26-22 UConn.
Okay.
So early on, second quarter, 5 minutes left. So
cool.
Still got some time.
Yeah.
I had a question. What is your thought on Ice Cube and the Big Three offering Caitlin Clark $5 million? A gimmick? Okay.
Yeah, it's a gimmick. I'm not mad at it, of course.
Yeah.
But it's just something else to talk about and more exposure for both. And of course, $5 million it's a lot more than what she'll make in the WNBA. But then, she'll make a whole lot more in endorsements, right? So she's already signed to Gatorade and whoever else, and there's more to come. So I don't expect her to take that offer. I mean, I'm sure she's very gracious, but I think she will be in the WNBA where she belongs, and I'd like to see her do well. Yeah, but I also would like to see how well she does as far as those girls in the WNBA. There ain't no slouches.
No,
this ain't no Bush League for women, right? These players are talented, all of them. So, just because she's going to be probably the 1 or number 2 pick, whatever, probably number 1, and then go to Indiana, still back in the Midwest. It's not far from Iowa, right? It's a few hours drive, 4 or 5 hours by car. So, she'll still be, in familiar surroundings as far as that's concerned, and and I'm sure she will do excellent. But I'd like to see what she'll do against, some of these young stars that the WNBA has to offer. So it's going to be exciting. I'm really excited for this next season for WNBA, and of course for our Seattle Storm. Yeah,
And
definitely.
I also think, I mean, hopefully, I mean, she goes number one. She's going with Aaliyah Boston, who was a previous number one pick. That's going to be a one of the best 1-2 combos. If if I think what Caitlin Clark will do, I do think she'll adjust just fine to the WNBA.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to be a really fun 2 combo to look forward to down the road. And yeah, just like what Rhonda just said, this is hopefully like the catapult to start getting more money behind the WNBA's
Definitely.
endorsements, marketing, and things like that, and better TV deals and things like that, because that's how those women get paid. So bringing
Yes.
in these bigger stars, this is where it now is
And
where it starts to start.
yeah, and another thing is hopefully they can stop having to go overseas to
Exactly.
supplement their income. Because a lot of the girls or women, I should say, my bad, go to overseas, play in Russia and China and wherever, and make millions,
Yep.
right? They get lucrative deals, and look, if they still want to do that, who am I to say, don't do it? But
hmm
the fact that most of them have to is what the issue is,
Yep.
and that's where a lot of the people, or a lot of the advocates for the WNBA, like Clark, and then soon Juju Watkins, when she becomes available to go into the WNBA, then hopefully the contracts will be much more lucrative for them. So yeah, and that's what we want. We want them to have nice salaries. They'll never be up to where the men are. Let's be honest. I
No.
mean, the
Yeah.
NBA has been around since 1947, and it's been, the WNBA has been around, almost 30 years itself. Believe it or not, the WNBA has been in effect since 1997. A lot of people, if you can believe that. So that's what, 27 years now,
Yeah.
right?
And that's what people have to understand. Like, the WNBA hasn't been around for 60, 70 years like the
Right.
NBA has. It's still in its not early stages, but yeah, it's like you said, it's only 27 years old.
Yes. And they
Um,
only play 34 games.
exactly.
They play 34 games. They don't have the TV deals that the NBA has. And so, they they're not going to make the kind of money the NBA players can make because of those deals and because of the ownership and whatnot. And eventually, hopefully they can make a couple of million, right? In the WNBA. It'd be nice to see, 6,
And it,
7, 8 figures or whatever, but it's going to be a while.
and
So,
then yeah.
that's just the way it's going to, that's just how it is.
But the good
Period.
part of that is, I think I was looking at Juju Watkins and Caitlin Clark. They're like one of the higher paid athletes when it comes to the NIL. So that's coming along with them,
Yeah,
not
for
just
sure.
for them personally, but to the
Hmm.
league. Like those
Right.
endorsements and that marketing. Now we're gonna see Caitlin Clark and Juju Watkins when she comes to the WNBA, and even old girl from LSU. Um, I can't think
Angel
of her
Reese.
name. Angel Reese. Yeah, like
Yeah.
all those guys they're going to bring money to the WNBA. So
Yes.
just like you said, it's just a really exciting time for women's basketball.
Hmm.
I'm glad to be able to witness this.
I'm just sorry that, women like Cheryl Miller, Lisa Leslie, they missed out on deals like this,
Yeah.
because they were both phenomenal. Maya Moore, and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And it's just kind of, this is unprecedented, because the players in the college women's game make more money in NIL than they would in the WNBA, and that's not the case for college and NBA. Whereas in the NBA, you're going to make significantly a lot more money when you transfer over, when you move up, get promoted to the NBA. So yeah, But it's going to be exciting to see women this weekend and the men. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Agree. Totally. You hit everything right off the note. It's just even dope to like hear us just like, we can talk about women's basketball now for hours, Pep, if we really
Yeah,
wanted to.
absolutely.
It's not something that even people were in the slightest of interested in wanting to talk about 5, 10 years ago. And just like
Right.
I said, just seeing the platform that these girls are on now, and like I said earlier, you're talking about the Final Four for women's being more popular. I think tickets are more expensive for the women's Final
Yeah,
Four than it is for the men's. That's
absolutely.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's dope
Well,
to
because
see.
they got the marquee players, right?
Exactly.
Who's the
Yep.
marquee player for the men's side right now besides Zach Edey?
Zach Edey, and just like you, I mean, and no, it's not disrespect. I think he's a really good player, but he's not.
Right.
He's not as marketable or as fun to watch as a Caitlin Clark or
Nope.
even a Juju Watkins, a Paige Beckers. None of those guys.
Right.
Zach Edey is really good though.
He is.
And I hope that he is actually given a really good chance of playing in the NBA, because I know a lot of people look at him and they see his size, and we're talking about an NBA right now that's not driven off the center. But
Mm-hmm.
people got to understand 7'4" is 7'4". Can't teach that.
Yes.
Number one. Number two, he actually moves really well for 7'4".
Yeah,
He's not a
he's not
stone 7'4".
right.
Like he can actually really move, and I know it's not, but if this was like the year 2000, like we'd be talking about him going number one.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way, in my opinion, that he drops out of the lottery
No.
in this coming NBA draft. But like I said, I can understand why general managers will be kind of scared to take him so early because of not knowing what he can actually give an NBA team. But I really think he can help an NBA team. I do think that he is going to be a starting center. Like I said, I
Yeah.
don't know. I can't really say superstar or all that yet, but I really think he's going to be a starting center. And the other kid, Culligan, for UConn, he's really good too. And I think
Yes.
he's also a starting center.
He's a great defender. And I think
Yep.
both of them, will make an impact defensively when they first get into the NBA. And so, but it's going to be exciting because you've already got Wemby established, right? And then you got Chet Holmgren now, showing what he is in the NBA. And so that's great. I love these young big fellas coming in and making their mark. And now we're going to have, like Wemby versus Chet, and then you got Edey versus Chet, and Edey, and Culligan versus, Wemby and whatnot,
Yep.
different
Yep.
nights. So I'm going to, that's going to be something to look forward to seeing as well. Because, the back in the day, this is before your time even, of course, but I remember watching Nate Thurman and Wilt Chamberlain, and you got Kareem, and then you got Bill Bellamy, and then you got Bob Lanier. I mean, it was like night after night. It was like big men going after each other, and then of course Bob McAdoo, who's 6'11". He was a different prototype of a big man. He was more of an outside shooter. And then, of course, Dave Cowens. He was only 6'9", but he was a very good center at 6'9" for the Boston Celtics. So, yeah, I mean, times have changed. Big men have changed, but it seems to be a good trend. That's this time, I think. I like it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you on everything you just said. And I even think the big man is kind of coming back in style, in a sense of, it's just like I said, they're just hybrid now, big men like Jokic and Joel Embiid. Instead of them being on the low block, a lot of them are 15 feet now, and they start from there working. Like I said, it just, as people would say, I guess they got a bigger bag. That's what the kids say. So just more skill set, and they're not just conformed to the low block. And I'm not, like I said, I mean, the whole point of basketball is trying to get as close to the basket as possible, because easier shot.
Right.
We're just in a league where the 3-point.
Yeah, because back in the day, your center was your star most of the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Rhonda Dorsey. If I said Bill Bellamy, I meant Walt Bellamy. Because I might have been thinking of Bill Russell in my head, and might have said Bill Bellamy, but it's Walt Bellamy. They called him Bells.
You're on your Granville right now, messing up the name.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to give a Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I know. I do want to give him a shout out. I don't think we talked about it, but his tenure, he did step down, I think, from Seattle Prep at the end of the season. So I wanted to give him a shout out to the work that he did at Seattle Prep.
Oh yeah.
Over these last few years as assistant, as a head coach. Hopefully he's not done coaching. Because like I said, I like what G brings to a team, and hopefully he's given another chance. But I definitely wanted to give him a shout out. I forgot to do that last week.
Yes, sir. And also he's having a great time
having a great time, man.
in Great Britain. Yes, you bloody blighter. Eating fish and chips and bangers and mash and all that. Yeah. You bleeding bloke.
He is having the time of his life right now.
Yeah, good for him.
Since the season.
Yeah, and he looks super happy too.
He does. He does.
I love seeing that. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So yeah, speaking of the NBA, we're coming into the final weeks. I think the NBA season ends in about 2 or 3 weeks. We are in April, believe it or not, already. So the playoffs are being fought for. It's the first. What is it? The first 8 and then 9 and 10 fight to get in. What is it?
Nope.
I don't know.
So first 6 are automatically playoff teams, and then 7, 8, 9, 10 play in the play-in tournament for 7, 8 spots. 7, 8 will play. Winner moves on to the 7th spot. 8 will play the loser of 9 and 10. Whoever loses that 9-10 game goes home, and then the other 2 will battle out for 8th place. And it's especially in that Western Conference, Pep, it's a really scary sight because right now you're talking about Sacramento, Phoenix, LA, Golden State. All of those. And
don't forget, you know what? I know it's crazy. How about them Houston Rockets?
Yep, and the Houston Rockets are right there on the Warriors' tails. They have strung off what now? I think I won 11 straight or 10 straight before losing. But it's just really dope to see Ime Udoka and what those guys are doing. A lot of this they're doing without their best player in Sengun. So Jalen Green has flourished now with having the ball in his hands more. And I mean, it'll be dope to see the Rockets catch the Golden State Warriors. But I mean, come on now. I mean, I would also not want to see Steph Curry in those type of environments. So that's a tough one to see happen. Or LA, like you want to see Bron in there. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I know Malik Monk got hurt for sack, so that's going to hurt. As they're starting to trend downward, the Suns are playing 500 basketball. The Lakers are playing actually pretty decent right now, and the Warriors have been all right. So it's tough, man. I'm hoping my Suns can make it out. They just won today against the Pelicans. That was a big win. Needed that.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen, though. The Mavs could fall out. The Pelicans can fall out. Kings can get in there. The Lakers
Kings
can
are
find a way to get there. Yeah. So it's every game. I know for the Suns, I got mad, Pep. Last week we played, or this Friday we played the Thunder, and we laid an egg without Shea Alexander, lost by 20. And I told myself that I'm not watching until they play better, but they played better today. Was up by 25 at much, I think the most. So we'll see what happens, though.
All right, cool. All right. When we come back, we're gonna get more. We're gonna finish up the NBA, and then we're gonna talk about the first week of baseball. So don't go away. We will be right back.
You are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio,
your community radio station.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects. For more information, visit kingcounty.gov.
What's going on, world? It's your boy OG Mambo.
And your guy D Money. Join us along with Pint Size Patron and ID Yourself
here on Fresh Juice at Rainier Avenue Radio.
Every Wednesday hump day from 9 to 11 Pacific.
Get exclusive interviews from your favorite artists, all the hottest music, and updates on what we got going on in the world.
That's every Wednesday, 9 to 11 p.m. on Seattle's Rainier Avenue Radio.
The beat of the Fox with nastiness is back on K-Fox Night Beat.
Yo, what's the deal? It's the legendary Hall of Fame DJ Mixmaster Ice UTFO.
What's up? Who you thought this is? This is Sir Mix-a-Lot.
And this is Terry Lewis.
And I'm Grand Mixer GMS.
What's up, y'all? This is DJ Third Degree.
This is JJ Hudson from the High Children family.
Sunday nights from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's K-Fox Night Beat with DJ Nastiness.
Bringing back the memory.
Bringing back the memories.
Bringing Seattle's hottest music.
Bringing Seattle's hottest music. Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
That's right. Noise.
Peace.
And welcome to our live studio audience for another exciting edition of Did You Know? And here we go with round one. Did You Know?
The COVID vaccine is free and easy to get. You don't need insurance or an appointment to get your vaccine. Vaccines are available at many locations near you.
And now we're going to double the value. Did You Know?
The COVID-19 vaccine is always free of cost. You can visit pharmacies, community health centers, and other health providers in your neighborhood.
And now for the lightning round.
Delta variant of COVID is a mutation that has health experts worried because it's twice as contagious.
Then for our finale. Did you know?
The best way to protect yourself from the COVID Delta variant is to get fully vaccinated. Get your vaccine today.
Find out more at kingcounty.gov/vaccine. Did you know?
Would you like to see when your favorite Rainier Avenue Radio show comes on? Check out our show schedule, updated weekly at RainierAvenueRadio.world.
And welcome back, everybody, to LidLine Sports right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. This Thursday, the 4th, broadcasting from MLK's Community Center. It's going to be the 4th anniversary, or 4th. It's going to be the Martin Luther King assassination anniversary at 5:30 p.m. So that's April the 4th, this Thursday. And on April 22nd to the 28th, Earth Deserves More Than a Day week right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. We were just, first of all, I want to give shout outs. Shout out to, of course, the lovely Rhonda Dorsey, my man Michael Carter, Bill Walker Jr., and Linda Thomas. Thank you very much for your comments. Some good info there, especially on Caitlin Clark. She's going to make, what, 3 million more than she'll make in the WNBA? That's outstanding. Thank you very much for that. And, of course, I know who our regular listeners are. We don't need to shout out everybody. Let's finish up the NBA real quick before we head into the Major League Baseball. You said the West is going to be a dogfight. What about the East? How's the East looking?
Well, on the East, everything is pretty much set in stone when it comes to the 10 teams that'll be playing. It's just going to be a lot of movement from third place all the way down to in between everywhere from all the way down to like 8th place. There's some type of somebody is playing to move up somewhere. So, Boston.
Well, the Knicks sure blew a chance the other day. You know, Jalen Brunson had 61 points, playing probably one of the weaker teams in the NBA, the San Antonio Spurs, and they couldn't beat them. You know, because Wemby had 40 and threw his basketball in the crowd. The 61 point, the ball that he got 61 points, threw it in the crowd, and Wemby got fined $25,000 if I'm not mistaken.
That dude, man. I know. You know, he's not up and down, but, you know, I know a lot of people had their questions when it came to Victor Wembanyama. I hope he answered those questions for anybody last week.
Most certainly.
That dude is going to be a bona fide superstar in this league. And what he's able to do at 7'3" is just it's beyond crazy. And, you know, he gets the word a unicorn, but I don't even know if he's called that because I feel like we've given that unicorn name to a bunch of other players, like Porzingis and things like that. He's much more special than a unicorn. And
Yeah,
we've
he
never
really
seen.
is.
Yeah,
And
I know.
his development. Sorry about that, but his
No, you're good.
development from month to month has been
Yep,
phenomenal.
exactly, and that's what's really been super impressive. So, yeah, they're going to be fine. But yeah, in the Eastern Conference, it's hard to it's just hard to decipher outside of Boston what is
Yeah.
what in the East. Pep, I mean, one day you see Milwaukee, they look really good. The next day you see them blowing 18-point leads to the Lakers, and then getting blown out another game, and the Knicks aren't all the way healthy. They're still missing Julius Randle, so you don't know what they're gonna do. Donovan
Right.
Mitchell's in and out. To me, outside of Boston, the only team that that kind of has been floating around being consistent is Orlando. But my only knock with them is they're young, and that's not like I said, it's not a bad thing. I do think that if right now the New York Knicks are playing the Orlando Magic, that's going to be a hell of a first round series. And I like seeing these young teams, finally, the teams that go through the actual rebuild process and do it the right way. It's always
Yeah.
rewarding to see those guys finally make the playoffs.
Right.
And the Knicks and the Orlando Magic are on the cusp. They're going to make the playoffs. I don't think they'll be in a playing scenario. Hopefully not. But it's going to be really dope to see those guys in. And then, of course, Pep, Miami's. If there's a team that nobody wants to play, especially in the first round, it's the Miami Heat. Even though it's you would not want to see them in this type of playing scenario. But I mean, I feel like this is something that is just a reoccurring thing with these guys now. I'm not saying they don't take the regular season serious, but maybe they just go through so much injury. It's hard for them to start clicking until when it matters. Tyler
Right.
Hero's always in and out the lineup. Jimmy Butler's in and out the lineup. So it's just fitting that they're in the plan. But I know Boston, that's not a team that they want to play in the first round.
No, I was going to say you hit the nail right on the head there, because if there's one team that Boston does not want to face at any time, and that's the Miami Heat.
Yeah, and then we might get. And I'm pretty sure. I think the last report on Joel Embiid that he's actually probably going to play before the regular season ends. So they're in 8th right now. That's Boston too, right there. And I get it. I think if there is an Achilles heel for Philly, it is Boston. But I mean, like I said, that's now Boston having to deal with Joel Embiid for however many games that goes, or Milwaukee.
Yeah, because what happens is, a team like Philly and a guy like Joel, what he does is soften them up for the next opponent, right? Yeah, they might beat Philly, but now they're going to be beat up because they got to play Giannis or Miami or somebody like that. So, you got to look at it that way. Real quick, I got one question. Jalen Brunson, how legitimate is he as far as an MVP candidate?
MVP candidate, I would say that's kind of tough. Do I think that he should get some recognition? For sure. I know for sure he should be an All-NBA player. That's no question about that, as long as he's made the minimum games, played the minimum games. But what he's doing with New York, keeping them afloat without Julius Randle right now, the numbers that he's just putting up is just crazy. And his story too, it's just like it all puts into. I understand why you're asking me, should he get MVP consideration? Like I said, I think that he should get a vote. Somebody's going to vote for him for sure.
Okay, so
I don't.
How tall is SGA?
6'5", I believe 6'6".
If Brunson was 6'5" or 6'6", I think he'd be the best player in the NBA.
I'm not mad at you.
I mean, he is something, and he's only 6 feet.
And he's a dog. Like, you just can't keep him out the lane. He's tough as nails. And like I said, Dallas missed out on that. I was actually just seeing that Dallas offered him. He was actually willing to take a 4-year, $40 million contract extension, and they were hesitant at this time on paying him that. And then once I think Luka got hurt and he started killing, and he still came back to him and said, if the offer is on the table, like, I'm here. And then they still were unsure. And he went off in the playoffs, and they tried to do it again. And he said at this point, nah, I know it. I know what my bag is now, and it ain't that.
Dallas knew what they had. I mean, it's not like they didn't know what he was. They knew what he was. They just couldn't keep him.
Yep.
And then so they had to get Kyrie to go with Luka. And Dallas is, quietly, chugging along. Thank you. Perfect word. They're chugging along. They're right there. And they're like the Miami Heat of the West. That's the team you might not want to see in the playoffs if you're on the West. Because if Kyrie and Luka get it going.
Exactly. I was just about to say, you're talking about having a game plan for not just Luka Doncic now and Kyrie, who we know is a killer, especially when it comes to playing on big stages. But we also know what Luka does too on these big stages. And any matchup on the Western Conference, you're also possibly like the Suns might have to play the Nuggets in the first round, or the Timberwolves, or maybe the Thunder. Like the Clippers are gonna have to deal with Luka, and we know how that's gone, and they have a hard time keeping Luka in the box. So you got the young Pelicans who might have to play one of those teams. Hopefully, Brandon Ingram can get back before the playoffs, but we know in the Western Conference there is no easy first round matchup. We all talk about, especially me. I've tried to decipher and match up with who I want to play as a Suns fan in the first round. I can say I want to play the Timberwolves, but I mean, me asking for that, they're a top 3 team for a reason.
Yeah.
They're one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. So me asking for that, one of those things is you're gonna get what you ask for, and my thing is there's no ducking anybody in the playoffs in the Western Conference. There's just no. You're gonna get it's gonna be a good, hard fought series every round.
Yeah, that Western Conference is brutal. It's almost like a quasi March Madness kind of, because every series could be 7 games if you look at it and be realistic. Every one of them could be 7 games. And then, of course, if you're an Eastern team, and if you can handle your business back east and wait for somebody out the West, they're going to be beating each other up.
Yeah. Could you possibly see the NBA in the future doing something like an NCAA style of just taking the 16 best teams and, matching them up like that? Or you think it'll continue always East-West?
That's a great question. It depends, because if for instance, this year, if the Western Conference is so good and so competitive and so, and then the East is so ho-hum, they could do something like that, but it's got to be consistently like that, though.
Yeah.
And I don't see that happening. So probably not, but it's something they might put in the back burner if they have a contingency plan. Whereas, if we're having terrible playoffs consecutive years, then this is what we might have to do. So I'm sure that could be in the back burner, but I don't think that's something they're going to do anytime soon.
I agree. And then I did want to get some quick Seattle player news.
Okay.
Kevin Porter Jr. last played for the Houston Rockets. He got in some troubles over the last summer that caused him to get traded and waived. He has signed. He signed a deal with a team in Greece, in a top league. So he's going to finish out the year with them. They're called P-A-O-K. I don't know how to say it, so I ain't going to say it.
That's it, though. I've heard of him.
I'm hoping, he can. And the issue with KP is never his game on the court.
Oh, it's not talent, that's for sure.
Hopefully, he gets to show out and show that he is still a really good young player. And then, hopefully he can stay out of trouble and, he can catch the eye of an NBA team and hopefully given one more chance to prolong his career in the NBA. Because just like I said, it's not his game. It's the things that happen to him off the court, and it doesn't matter how good you are, Pep. You can't.
A team that I think he would really do well in? Miami.
Yeah.
Spoelstra. I think Spoelstra could work wonders with him. And plus, Spoelstra's from the Pacific Northwest.
Yep.
He's from Portland.
Oregon. Yep.
So, man.
I agree. But like I said, he has to do his job first of staying out of trouble. That's on him. That's not on anybody. That's him. That's who he keeps around him. And just doing the right thing. And he will be given a chance. I know I think he had a plea deal. So I think a lot of the charges got dropped on that assault case. But there's just no room for that anywhere, not even just in the NBA. That's just period. So
life.
Hopefully he's on the right. Exactly. Hopefully he's on the right path, and I say he does his thing over in Greece for sure.
Sweet. All right, thanks, bro. That was great NBA talk as usual. But let's get into some Major League Baseball. It started this past weekend, specifically Thursday night. Thursday night. It started
for the most part. Yeah.
Yep. And after Sunday, there's only 4 teams that are undefeated. Do you know who they are?
I think the Dodgers just lost, so I don't think the Dodgers. I know the Yankees played really well, so I'm gonna say the Yankees.
Okay. Ding ding. That's correct.
Not Atlanta. I think Atlanta lost. So my other guess is surprising. I think I saw Pittsburgh played really well.
Ding 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 ding. That's
Milwaukee swept the Mets. I watched a couple of those games.
Okay, me too. I watched one of them.
I can't get the last team. I feel like the last team is going to be a shock. But I don't want to look. So
well, it's not a shock because of who they played, but the Detroit Tigers.
Oh, okay. Who they play? Okay. Oh, the White Sox, who aren't that good.
Yes. So the White Sox are actually 0-4 now because they got smoked today.
Yep.
And then New York's 4-0. They swept Houston. Detroit's 3-0. They swept the White Sox. Pittsburgh's now 5-0. They were 4-0 at the end of the weekend, but they won today 8-4 over the Nationals. And Milwaukee, like we mentioned, swept the Mets, and they're 3-0.
And I thought that's a team to look out for this year was the Pittsburgh Pirates. So
that's crazy. Yeah. And then we're gonna talk about the Mariners real quick. They split with the Boston Red Sox at 2-2. And of course, last week we said before the series started that we were hoping they would be at least 3-1. We did not get our wish. What happened?
Well, pretty much what happened, what has been going on with them, especially the last 3 games, just not being able to just put up runs. So it's you have bad pitching the first game, you're able to put up runs, and the next 3 you have really good pitching. Shout out to George Kirby and Logan Gilbert. Did really well, but no run support again. So I mean, hopefully this is not this won't be the theme this year. I think right now they already have 4 runs against the Indians or the Guardians in the bottom of the 4th. Yeah, that's not a recipe for winning consistently. And we're not talking about 56% consistency or 60, whatever he said. We're not talking about that type of consistency. You want to be with the big dogs, the Rangers and the Astros. You got to put up runs. So hopefully like I said, that's just not something I want to see whole season. But we'll take 2-2. It's a start. But the Red Sox are no slouches. They're a really good baseball team as well. So
yeah, they're up on Oakland right now, 8-0. So.
Exactly. What they can do is score. Yes. There's the bright spot, of course. The takeaway is, that our pitching is just top 5 rotation in my opinion. Like I said, Logan Gilbert and George Kirby. I don't know what is going to happen with those 2 over the next couple of years. My guess is for sure George Kirby will get paid. But man, those 2 are young studs, both all-star caliber pitchers, and we're going to have to ride their backs along with Luis Castillo for sure. And then hopefully, I think Bryce Miller pitched all right too. So, some real just young studs, man. And I can understand why, the Mariners are a tad bit reluctant to get rid of one of those guys, Brian Wu too. But you still wish that you would have made a splash for a bat, but they didn't. And like I said, I very much understand with those guys being young, controlling pitchers, meaning you don't got to pay them much for the next few years. So.
Yeah, it's the same old, man. The good pitching, terrible hitting. We're losing 4-1, 3-2, what that was 3-0, whatever. Last night they lost 5-1. And then of course, you get 4 runs in the second inning here today, and then of course the very next top of the inning they give up half of that, right? Yeah. So it's like, come on, man, what are you doing?
Yeah,
it's so frustrating. And then you hear people, oh, well, we're 4 games in the season, don't panic. Well, we said the same thing last year. It's only the first part of April, and then what happened? Well, they missed the playoffs by 1 game. So if you win one or two of these games that you goof up on, you get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And they're not doing it.
Yeah. I mean, Pep, no fan wants to see 500 baseball. I mean, like I said, it doesn't amount to putting your team in a chance to contend for the real World Series. So, like I said, I'll take 2-2 because the Red Sox are a good team, but we both hoped for 3-1. But they need to. I think it's a 3-game series with the Indians, with the Guardians. They need to win the series and
Day
we
off
start chugging along.
Thursday, then go to Milwaukee over the weekend, and then after that, they go to Toronto.
Okay.
And that's always a tough place for them to play.
Yep.
So like we said last week, these guys, man, they can't start off slow. They can't. So they got to do some damage with this against the Guardians and Milwaukee. Even though, look, Milwaukee, was undefeated over the weekend. I get it, but look, the Mariners if the Mariners are who they say they are, then they got to prove it.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys, these bats got to heat up. I mean, Polanco and Mitch Garver, new guys that we got, and of course they got Haniger back, and then Ty France is supposed to be renewed. So I want to see it. I don't want to hear about it. I'm tired of hearing about it.
And the problem which you have made, and it's starting early, and I understand it's early, but at the top of the lineup, J.P. Crawford battling 118, Julio 167, Polanco under 100. Mitch Haniger's been all right at 250, and Ty France is starting to wake up, but Kyle Raleigh under 200. You can't start out like this. Like, you just can't. Like, we already know that hitting is a premium.
And then keep sloughing it off like, oh, it's early. I'm tired of hearing that.
Yeah, no,
I mean, I mean, the Yankees are 4-0, right? They had to go to look. Yankees are 4-0, and they had to play in Houston.
Yep.
Okay, and they won all 4 of those games. Houston had a lead after the 6th inning of every single one of those games, but the Yankees found a way to win. How come the Mariners can't do that?
Yeah, and
just
like we said too, like I don't want to wait. I don't want to see Julio start picking it up in end of July. I want to start off now. He had a pretty good spring training, so
he batted 417 or something like that.
Yeah.
So why are you batting 160 right now?
And I don't want to hear, the Seattle weather, T-Mobile Park, and it's a tough place to hit. I don't want to hear it.
That's funny because Boston should hit pretty good.
Exactly.
And they're playing in the same park.
Yeah.
Right? Because, even though the series was 2-2, Boston outscored us in the series. So,
the hitters got to hit. You got to give these pitchers an actual chance to put ourselves in position to win, not just.
And here's a change that I think baseball may have to do. Like how soccer and how hockey has a point system. They might have to do that in baseball too, because the reason why I say that is you can win a series, but lose in runs.
Mm-hmm.
You can split a series, but get destroyed run wise.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like if you win 2-0 and 1 2-1, okay, but if you get beat 8-3 and 10-1, you lost pretty much to me. So. Somebody deserves some points for that.
Yep.
I think.
Could you see the Mariners maybe being a little more? And I know it's early now. I know a lot goes into saying how this would go, but can you maybe see now the Mariners, if let's say they're in that, maybe in the race for wild card and possibly threatening to win the AL West? Could you see them at the trade deadline being the aggressive team, especially knowing that you got all those pitchers
Depends.
in your
Yes.
back pocket?
Absolutely, especially if they know they need another bat to make a play, to make a long playoff run. Then you're talking Wu, Miller, Hancock, somebody like that might have to go. But in order to do that, sometimes you got to make a sacrifice like that. And yes, if they're in that position, yes, they're going to do it. They would have to.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Like, our front office has to be aggressive. You can't keep saying that this is a good team and you're not doing your part as a front office and trying to make this team better. That's the whole point of this game. So
I mean, look, if you're happy with 500, yeah, you're happy at 500 if you're Kansas City or Detroit, Chicago, White Sox, right? Those teams have been bad for a while. So if they're at 500 or better, yeah, they're gonna be happy. But look, we've been under the weather, under the playoff umbrella, not making it in for 20 of the last 21 years or whatever it is, 21, 22, whatever. You know, and it's old, man. It is old because we're tired of starting April cold. We're tired of picking up players that do well elsewhere and then they come here and do nothing. We're tired of that, and it seems like it happens all the time.
And it's almost like they would think after having the longest playoff drought that it's like they just thought that we were okay with mediocrity as fan. And this is a city that has lost their basketball team.
Yep.
So take that into effect.
Look,
that
we almost lost
winning.
our football team, and we almost lost our baseball team. Seattle's, man, I don't know. They're playing with fire sometimes, bro. I tell you. But, you know, the Mariners, they're so frustrating because, you know, we always talk about how good a pitching they have, and pretty much it is pretty good, but they can't back it up, right? I mean, if you have good pitching and have some you got to have some bats, man.
Yep.
And they don't. I mean, we talked about it last week about Felix Hernandez. He was a Cy Young winner at 13-12 because he kept losing games 2-1, 4-3, 1-0. You know, he pitched lights out. He pitched 7, 8, 9 innings, but he couldn't get no run support.
Yeah.
And where's the difference? It's still happening, and it's so frustrating because it's old, man. I'm tired of it.
Yep.
You know,
I agree with
people out here wondering, you know, it's like, oh, give us some time. We've been giving them 20 years. We need give them time.
Anybody who is saying give them time has not been a Mariners fan
over
the last 20 years because all they've gotten was time in a new arena and paid players who came to the Seattle Mariners and started to, you know, go the other direction. So it's just been years of frustration. And you would have thought, especially me, Pep, I just would have thought that with making the playoffs and then doing what we did last year, I just, you know, you would think the front office would be super aggressive over this offseason and try to make a splash to get back there to being a really good baseball team and competing. Like I said, I understand we got swept by the Astros, but that was the best series they had all playoffs. So
yeah, and they won a playoff series. You know,
yep, and won playoff series.
You know, they got to the playoffs. They won a playoff series. They got swept by the Astros. Okay, but the next year you're supposed to do the same thing. You're supposed to win, you know, a playoff series, win another playoff series, and then take it further. You're supposed to progress, and they regressed last year, and you know, and now this year, well, it's still early. I keep hearing that, but you know, 5 games in, we're still doing the same thing. Yeah, Bill Walker Jr., we're tired.
And I'm not panicking yet, but just like you said, that's not what you want to go look at the box score, Pep, and see, especially your top 3, 4 in the batting lineup, all hitting under 200 is crazy.
Yeah, and why is Julio batting second still? It's ridiculous. You need to put JP at first batting first, Polanco hitting second, and you need to put Julio hitting third. At least you got to put him in a position to drive in some runs. The guy hit 32 and 103 batting second. I mean, come on, man. Jeez, if you want to put some runs on the board, you need to put him down in the lineup. Anyway.
Guess who's playing well real quick?
Who?
Eugenio Suarez is playing well.
Yes, for Arizona, of course.
And Teoscar Hernandez has actually gotten off to a pretty solid start.
And then I saw Teoscar hit 2 home runs the other night for the Dodgers. So, yeah. Oh,
and
well.
Kelenick's playing all right.
Yes, I saw him get a hit the other day, too. Yeah. Oh, well, we're out of time, but, you know, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week, of course, for more sports right here on LidLine Sports, right here on Rainier Avenue Radio .world. Holla at us.